All right, good morning, everybody. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss with another fantasy football podcast for you. Of course, if you're new to the channel, as I always say at the top, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I know the videos have been scarce the last couple of weeks, but that's because I've been working very hard on the Fantasy Sports Boss 2024 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, which you can purchase. PDF version that'll email right to you. You can use the link on the homepage. I'm also going to have the book version. I wasn't originally going to put the book version out, but I got some feedback on it, and a lot of the audience likes the book version, so I'm going to release that on Amazon as well, so you can purchase that there. That's going to be coming up in the next week or two once I finalize all of the impacts from the 2024 NFL Draft, and I'm here this morning to talk about what took place at least in round one. Very, non-surprising early portion of the draft. No real drama to speak of. That was until the Atlanta Falcons shocked everybody, maybe even their own owner, by taking Michael Penix Jr., number 8 overall, but we're going to get to that. It was all offense early on. Not until the Colts picked Latu, the edge rusher from UCLA, 15th overall. It was all offensive players the first 14 picks of the draft. And a majority of them were quarterbacks. All right. So we had an insane run on quarterbacks, 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks. Just an unbelievable run at the position. Have my thoughts on all of them. Who's got the best, who ended up in the best place, who can have the most fantasy value, all of those things that we're going to discuss. Let me just got to fix this lighting real quick. Excuse me, guys. I don't know why. All right, it's a little bit better. But right from the top, let's just start right from the top. So the Chicago Bears surprised nobody by taking Caleb Williams number 1 overall. Whether Williams wanted to go to Chicago or not, and you had that with Jaden Daniels at number 2 overall as well. He put out some comments that maybe he didn't want to go to the Commanders, but Caleb Williams is a Chicago Bear, and I have to tell you, there may not be a better offensive setup for a rookie quarterback to step right into, especially a number 1 overall pick. When you're a number 1 overall pick, oftentimes you're going to a decrepit, awful team. Look at Bryce Young last year. He just could not succeed. There was no chance. I know Bryce Young didn't play well, but he had no chance. Going to a Carolina team that was completely bare when it came to offensive talent. Caleb Williams is going to be leading arguably the most stacked collection of offensive players in the entire NFL. Not only did they trade for Keenan Allen, a perennial PPR maestro, DJ Moore, major game-breaking talent who did some amazing things last year with Justin Fields, pass-catching tight end Cole Kmet. They signed the dual threat DeAndre Swift, and a lot of his game is catching passes, even though he wasn't used on that side of the ball last year. And then they used the 9th overall pick to take Rome Odunze. So Caleb Williams, whether you like him or not, and he's quirky. He's got a little quirkiness to him. Maybe some immaturity, the nails thing. His mom is a very big influence on this, as they should be, but maybe too much professionally. And we've seen cases like that, especially here in New York. Anybody remembers Eli Apple and Zach Wilson, right? And his mom. That's fine to a point. All right, but then it becomes a little bit of a distraction when mom is a little bit more involved than she should be. So Caleb Williams is quirky. But man, he's going to have fantasy value right away. He's going to have top 12 value right away. All right, now this year I've already spoken about. Last year I went 3rd round, Jalen Hurts in one league, Josh Allen in the other. I'm not doing that this year. I'm going to pick the middle portion of the quarterback rankings, maybe the early middle portion, because I love Jordan Love. I love CJ Stroud. So you figure it's still going to be Hurts, Mahomes, and Allen top 3, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson top 5. So if you could get CJ Stroud at 6, Jordan Love at 7, I'm doing that every single time. I still believe in Trevor Lawrence, but not as a clear-cut starter. I think you could pair him with Kirk Cousins and have a tremendous tandem that you could flip back and forth depending on the matchup. I love Kyler Murray. Man, Kyler Murray is going to be like the 12th quarterback, 11th, 12th, 13th quarterback off the board, and he's going to have a tremendous season. He was really good coming back last year. So those are the guys: Stroud, Love, Lawrence paired with Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams. I am interested in. He could run with the football. He could pick up yards on the ground. Even if he struggles a little bit, this supporting cast is immense. There is nobody in the history of the NFL that I can even recall stepping into such a good situation, especially as the number one overall pick. It's just phenomenal. Now, might as well talk about Odunze since we're here. He goes 9th overall. It is a great pick by the Bears to do that. You want to surround Williams with as much talent as you possibly can so he can hit the ground running, literally. But the three wideouts are going to siphon looks off of one another. I think Odunze is tremendous. I think he is like a Larry Fitzgerald clone. All right, I know that's heady praise, but that's the kind of game he has. It's not pure speed, but he catches everything. Excellent route runner, tactician, good guy, speaks like he's a politician. Like he's just a good guy. And I'm a Giant fan, so I'm a little bit nervous about Malik Nabers. I know athletically Malik Nabers is the pick, should be the pick over Odunze, but there's some off-the-field issues we're going to get to. But Keenan Allen, this closes the book for me officially on Keenan Allen. I know I was out on him already last year. You know, he had a nice comeback season. Listen, DJ Moore is going to eat. Allen's going to eat. Odunze's going to eat. And there's still Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, and DeAndre Swift. There's just way too many guys here. Now, if I could get DJ Moore at cost as a low end, as even a moderate wide receiver too, I'll do it. I don't see myself having any Keenan Allen shares, no Cole Kmet shares. You know, DeAndre Swift, I could see that as, you know, because more or less as a runner. Odunze, I'm not going to proactively go after him. But here's the thing too, guys. Rookie wide receivers, especially round one, have balled the hell out the last couple of years. So I'll still draft Odunze if the value is there. But I'm not chasing Keenan Allen. I can tell you that right now. I'm not going to have any shares of Keenan Allen. That's hard for me to say because you all know how much I love Keenan Allen. But DJ Moore at cost, when with Odunze at cost, I'll go there. But I'm not proactively searching them out. Now, number 2, Jaden Daniels. So the Washington Commanders are trying again at quarterback, right? Lots of comparisons to Lamar Jackson. I see it. I see more Robert Griffin III, which is ironic since it's the same team. Can run like the wind. Like he's going, and he's another one. Jaden Daniels is going to be fantasy relevant right out of the gate. You know, you look at Justin Fields, his first 2 years in the league, not much as a thrower, but an excellent runner, excellent dual threat quarterback. That's what Jaden Daniels is going to do. I think he can be a starter in fantasy. Maybe not a firm week in, week out guy, because again, the quarterback position is now getting quite deep. So, you know, if you draft a Kirk Cousins, you could back him up with Jaden Daniels, right? I don't think you draft Jaden Daniels to be the starter. I think Lamar Jackson might be a little bit strong. We still got to see what kind of a passer he is. Now, he made a lot of strides last year. There's no doubt about it. Jaden Daniels threw the ball well. But when you have Malik Nabers, you know, when you have the type of receiver talent that you have, you know, with Brian Thomas, it's going to make you look good. There's just no doubt about it. So Jaden Daniels as a runner will yield fantasy football value, but as a passer, as a thrower of the football, I'm a little more concerned about that part of it. Now, New England, number 3, they take Drake May. The Giants tried to come up and get him, so did the Vikings. All right, so and it's telling to me as a Giants fan that they passed on J.J. McCarthy at 6. What does that say about McCarthy? I don't know. I do like McCarthy. Not as much of a... It's risky at 6, though, for a guy who really didn't throw the ball a lot. But we're not talking about McCarthy. We're talking about Drake May. I do like Drake May. And I know Merrill Hodge has absolutely been on like this crazy crusade to criticize this kid. I think he's almost bordering on unprofessional, but Merrill Hodge. We know your opinion. You don't like Drake May. But, like, you know, ease up on the kid a little bit. Now, there's some Josh Allen here. Great athlete, big guy, prototypical, you know, tough, sizable quarterback, can sling it. He can make all the throws, cannon of an arm, can run. Like when Josh Allen came out of Wyoming, he wasn't, the running aspect of his game, which is really taken off in the NFL, was not talked about much. And I think Drake May has that in him as well. Now, this is not the best landing spot for him from a fantasy perspective. All right, Jacoby Brissett, who's got ability, best backup slash starter. He's right on that cusp in the NFL. I think Jacoby Brissett's this is going to be his job as long as they keep winning. And they could win some games with Jacoby Brissett, but still the cupboard is bare. As far as receiving talent, it's not great. It's going to be run-heavy offense. I still believe they're going to, really concentrate on running the ball. So Drake May is well behind Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels in fantasy relevance. As a matter of fact, out of all those quarterbacks outside of only Michael Penix, I think Drake May is in the worst situation fantasy-wise to contribute right away. I just see the other guys having the opportunity and the ability combined together. Not to say that May's not talented, but the opportunity is not going to be there for him to contribute right away. But I do like him. Number 4, I was really hoping he would fall to the Giants. Marvin Harrison Jr., he's going to be a third-round pick at worst in fantasy drafts this year. He is the real deal. Ohio State knows how to produce wideouts. Chris Olave, Jackson Smith-Njigba, right? Garrett Wilson. All 3 of these guys show high-end ability, especially Olave and Wilson. Jackson Smith-Njigba hasn't really gotten the opportunity, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to explode in the NFL. He is in a great spot in Arizona, who need a number 1 wide. I'm sorry, guys. I'm battling allergies, spring allergies here in the Northeast. I know it's not pleasant to listen to. So Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to catch 80 balls, 1,100 yards, 7 to 8 touchdowns, and that's the floor for Arizona. Now, I know Kyler Murray likes to run. He's not a gunslinger, but he could throw. He's got good accuracy. I think Marvin Harrison is a guy in the third round I will look at late. If he drops in the 4th round, I'm all over that. And here's the thing too, guys. If you draft receivers in the first 2 rounds, and then you could get Harrison as your wide receiver 3, you start wide receiver, and then you go running back dead zone. Because remember, last year, running back dead zone was incredibly profitable. David Montgomery, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, the list went on and on and on. The running back dead zone was incredibly profitable last year, and I think it's going to be good again this year. So if you go wide receiver, let's say you start, Garrett Wilson, I don't know, off the top of my head, DJ Moore. I wouldn't take DJ Moore in round 2. Cooper Kupp round 2, and then you get Marvin Harrison in round 3. Like, wow. Like, that's incredible. Or how about this? This is more real. Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, Marvin Harrison. You have 2 PPR guys in Harrison and Wilson. You have a touchdown dominant guy in Evans, and the other 2 could also score a decent amount of scores. I would love to start a draft with those 3. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Chargers go Joe Alt. I thought there was a chance they would go J.C. Latham. They go Joe Alt there. I think, he's the best blocker. I was a little worried they were going to take Malik Neighbors. They didn't. Listen, you know what the Chargers are going to do. And this is more evidence that they are not going to throw the ball a lot. All right? So Justin Herbert, to me, is a complete fade. I have him outside the top 12. I actually have, and this is not an indictment on Justin Herbert, I have him outside the top 12. Love the player, hate the setup of Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh. They're going to run some more. They got J.K. Dobbins, they got Gus Edwards, maybe they get Blake Corum. They're going to run it till the cows come home. And this pick shows that. My Giants take Malik Neighbors at 6. A little nervous because Malik Neighbors has a gun charge in his history. He's a little quirky himself, the jewelry, the glasses, all that. And I hate when the guys come out with the sunglasses. They take the glasses off when you meet the commissioner of the NFL. I mean, come on, guys. Have a little class. Do the right thing. Listen, I think Neighbors is a tremendous, tremendous talent. Explosive. Like, you talk about explosive, this is the guy. Like, there's Tyreek Hill ability here. And I don't say that lightly. There is Tyreek Hill ability with Malik Neighbors. The size, not great, but the speed is immense and explosive. He's a home run hitter no matter where he gets the ball on the field. And if you look at the situation with the Giants, they did not take a quarterback, all right? They're going with Daniel Jones, whether we like it or not. I've been a big Daniel Jones defender. He won a road playoff game. He can throw the ball decently. He throws a good deep ball, and he can run. He just can't stay healthy. But he has, to be fair, he hasn't had weapons. Now he's getting an alpha wideout. And Neighbors, right into uniform, is the number one receiver on this team. So you look at Rome Odunze, who goes pick 9. He's the third receiver on the Bears. Not great for fantasy. Malik Neighbors, even though it's not a great offensive setup, he's the number one guy. He's going to lead the Giants in targets, and probably by a wide margin. Major yards after catch guy. You look at Tank Dell last year, that kind of immediate impact. That's what Malik Neighbors can do. So there absolutely is early, mid-round, round 7, 8, Malik Neighbors should be looked at there. Absolutely. All right, J.C. Latham goes to Tennessee at 7. They were going to take you to Alter Latham. I mean, that was, and Latham really kind of, inched up as we went along. He passed Fuaga, who went to New Orleans. He passed Fashanu, who goes to the Jets. So Latham kind of came on late, really big guy too, like just a road grade mauler. They need all the protection they can get for Will Levis, so I understand the pick here. Now, let's get to number 8, the Atlanta Falcons taking Michael Penix Jr., just weeks after signing Kirk Cousins to a monstrous 4-year contract, over $100 million. Lots of things happening here. According to Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, Kirk Cousins was not given advance warning on this, not until they were on the clock, which is awful job by the Atlanta Falcons. Now, you just signed this guy to all this money, and you don't even give him a heads up. Now, on the flip side, Kirk Cousins shouldn't say anything because he was the one who benefited in Washington when they drafted RG3 in the first round and then came right back in the 4th round and took Kirk Cousins, and everybody was scratching their head saying, what the hell are the Commanders or Redskins at the time doing? So Cousins shouldn't say anything about that part of it. And maybe the Falcons are just concerned about the Achilles. He's 36, Kirk Cousins. Maybe there's a little concern about that. But here's the thing, too. Michael Penix is already 24 years old. So let's say it takes 3 years, right? Let's give it 3 years. He'll be 27 by the time he takes a meaningful snap. It doesn't make any sense. And you could see, there was that video that went viral of Arthur Blank, what looked to be having an animated discussion with Terry Fontenot, the GM for the Falcons. And it looked like Blank wasn't happy about the move. And this is a Falcons team that really needed defense, right? I've had them from Byron Murphy. I thought Byron Murphy would have been the great pick there. Or even Latu, the edge rusher that went to Indy. Either one of those guys would have worked perfectly here because they have the offensive weapons, right? They have the alpha wideout. They have the alpha running back. They have the alpha tight end. And now they got the quarterback. Decent offensive line. But this defense wasn't good. Wasn't great. So I thought that's what they should have done there. Listen, we scratched our heads when the Packers took Jordan Love. That worked out well. So who knows how this goes, right? If Cousins goes down injured again next year, Michael Penix, who can throw the hell out of the ball, but can't stay healthy. He's got a little Byron Leftwich to me, which is not the best comparison for him. He's not a big runner, not much of a runner at all. A little bit of a wind-up, but man, he could really throw that ball, especially the deep ball. But it was a very puzzling pick. All right, we talked about it, Dunze at number 9. Minnesota takes the plunge with J.J. McCarthy. They called the Giants bluff. They didn't have to move up beyond one spot to take J.J. McCarthy. I thought it was way too optimistic when there were reports coming out that he was going to be a top 6 pick. All right, it was just not enough pass attempts for me to feel comfortable with taking J.J. McCarthy in the top 6, which is what the Giants ultimately decided as well. But I like J.J. McCarthy. If you look at him, while he did not, it is absolutely true. Jim Harbaugh stayed true to his habit of running the football. He did not give J.J. McCarthy the reins to go win games. But McCarthy, if you watch his tape, very accurate. You can't teach that. And the accuracy was good to all 3 levels. Good arm, not great, but it was good. He hits the out route well, gets the ball out quickly, and he processes quickly. You want guys that can process quickly. Justin Fields has never been able to process quickly. That's why he takes so many sacks. That's why he has stalled as a passer. J.J. McCarthy has that quick release. He sees the ball, the field quickly, decisively, gets the ball out, throws a catchable ball. These are all winning traits in the NFL. I think he did really well, and he goes to a stacked offense with Justin Jefferson, with Jordan Addison, a recovering TJ Hockenson who eventually will be back. Like, this is a good team offensively. Don't give me Sam Darnold. I don't think Sam Darnold, I would be shocked if McCarthy is not starting week 1. So whereas Drake May is not going to start week 1, Michael Penix certainly is not going to start week 1. Bo Nix has a good chance to start week 1. But J.J. McCarthy is in a good spot here. I think he's in the third best spot behind Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. I like him. I do like J.J. McCarthy. I'll die on the hill with him. I think he's going to be a good player. I do. All right, the Jets surprised me. I thought they were going to go Brock Bowers. Pretty much me and everybody else had them down for Brock Bowers, but they go Olu Fashanu, the offensive tackle of Penn State, who could play guard. They have Morgan Moses. They have Tyron Smith, but both of these guys are north of 30, haven't been able to stay healthy. I think Fashanu is excellent insurance. You want to plug him in at guard, be my guest. Did not give up a sack for Penn State last year. Really smart, fluid athlete. He's going to be good. The arms are short. The only thing I don't like about Fashanu, he's got short arms, so maybe that's more conducive to guard, but stick him at right tackle initially, and then eventually he could take over for Tyron Smith at left tackle if all breaks well. I think this was a good pick by the Jets. Brock Bowers was probably the immediate, because Aaron Rodgers only got 1 or 2 years left. I thought maybe that might have made more sense to go Brock Bowers here just from the timeline of Aaron Rodgers, but at the same time, you got to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy, and that's what ruined last year, so I do understand this pick. Brock Bowers goes the next pick to the Las Vegas Raiders. What does this say about Michael Mayer? He might need a trade to have any relevancy this season, but Brock Bowers, lauded as one of the best receiving tight ends to ever come out of the draft, but the landing spot wasn't great. So whether it's Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, this is going to be a run. They're going to lean on the run, which is Antonio Pierce's MO. I don't love the quarterbacks. You have the now for receiver in Devontae Adams. So Brock Bowers, to me, it could have been so many better landing spots for him. With tight end being as deep as it suddenly is, I'm not actively chasing Brock Bowers this season, but I love the talent. All right, the Saints go with Talise Fuaga, offensive tackle, Oregon, plays with some snarl, like him. Good pick there. Indy goes with Leitu, the edge rusher from UCLA. Had a lot of medical problems early on. Was actually told not to play football anymore. Stuck with it. Best edge rusher in the draft. I think he's a good pick by Indy. Byron Murphy goes to Texas. Of Texas goes to Seattle. Seattle's weird. They either hit a home run with their picks or they bomb out. I think this is a good pick there. Dallas Turner goes to Minnesota. So Minnesota had a nice day. They got the second best edge rusher, in my opinion, Dallas Turner from Alabama. And then, of course, they get J.J. McCarthy. So we're seeing now the defensive players coming off the board. 18, Amarius Mims, raw offensive tackle for Georgia, but one with a lot of upside. They need to keep Joe Burrow healthy, much in the same way the Jets got to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy. They have to keep Joe Burrow healthy. 2 seasons have been ruined lately from the Bengals because of Burrow's injuries. Amarius Mims, you want to draw up a specimen, this is the guy. However, has, I believe, only 8 or 9 starts in his college career, which is scary. Like, he's going to have to be coached up a little bit, but the upside, the ceiling is immense. Jared Verse goes to the Rams. I was shocked the Rams even knew what to do, because the last time they used a first-round pick, it was on Jared Goff all those years ago. They took Jared Verse, edge rusher. I like it. Pittsburgh, Troy Fontenot, offensive tackle of Washington. Okay. They have receivers. The offensive line has been an issue for the Steelers for a while, so this is a good pick. I understand it. Miami goes Chop Robinson. They needed to do that with Jalen Phillips. The injury issues all up and down that defensive line. They needed to bring in somebody to infuse that pass rush, and that's what Chop Robinson's going to do. Philly goes with Kenyon Mitchell, the cornerback from Toledo. Very smart, heady ball hawk player. I think that's another good pick for the Eagles. Jacksonville goes Brian Thomas Jr. So, listen, all in on Evan Ingram, and I was all in, and I still sort of am all in on Christian Kirk. I think Christian Kirk and Ingram are the 2 guys that are going to dominate targets. But Brian Thomas, has ability. Like, he's got instant separation skills. He was overshadowed, obviously, by Malik Neighbors, but he can get down the field quickly. He can separate quickly. We know the LSU factory, wide receiver factory, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr. It just on and on and on it goes with the factory that is LSU for wideouts, just like Ohio State. I think Brian Thomas can be good, but he's going to be well behind Kirk. He's going to be well behind Ingram. They brought in Gabe Davis. They still have Zay Jones, and they have a capable, running back that can catch the football out of the backfield than Travis Etienne. So Brian Thomas is not the best spot for him fantasy-wise. Terrion Arnold goes to Detroit. They trade up to get him. Detroit has quietly, Baltimore and Philadelphia get a lot of well-deserved credit for being great at the draft. The Detroit Lions have really killed it. They just re-signed Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penny Sewell to contract extensions. Both of those guys were home run hits. Sewell, a first-rounder, St. Brown, a fourth-rounder. They have always drafted really well of late. Terrion Arnold was a great pick. You could argue he could have been the number one cornerback off the board. Love this pick. All right, Green Bay Packers go Jordan Morgan, offensive tackle, Arizona. I thought he was a second-round guy. He had injury issues, but they needed to rejigger that offensive line, get some youth in there because obviously they've been cutting veterans left and right. I think Jordan, Morgan, again, I think he's a second-round guy, but okay, late first. Grant Barton, he's going to play center for Tampa Bay. Really, really strong guy. He played left tackle last year, so he's extremely versatile. Obviously, he's smart. He goes to Duke, so I think this is a good pick. Very, very strong. Absolutely strong as an ox. He will move you off your spot in the second. Grant Barton is going to be good there. Arizona goes with Darius Robinson, the edge rusher for Missouri. He didn't test very well at the combine. His speed was a little bit disappointing as far as his 40 time, but junkyard dog guy who can fight free, gets to the quarterback, closes quickly. Arizona, they got the offensive player in Harrison. Now they get Robinson there. Not bad. KC. So the Kansas City Chiefs. I said this the day of the combine when Xavier Worthy put up the record 4.214. I said, watch the Kansas City Chiefs take him at the end of round one. They waited. They had to move up to do it at 28, but they get Xavier Worthy, and they trade with the Buffalo Bills. Like, if you're the Buffalo Bills, this is the team you're trying to beat for AFC supremacy, and you hand them Xavier Worthy. You help the Chiefs out. The Chiefs are going to lose Rashee Rice for maybe 6 games, maybe even more, because that just ludicrous. He could have killed somebody in that drag race. Xavier Worthy, who has that Tank Dell, dare I say, a Tyreek Hill explosive home run ability. Like, you handed this guy to the Chiefs, the team you're trying to beat. Bad job, Buffalo Bills. But yeah, Xavier Worthy, when guys are like with this kind of profile, you got to worry a little bit that they're going to be they run too hot and cold, hit or miss. Worthy wasn't a huge numbers guy in college, but obviously he gets separation, big play. He's got the best quarterback in the NFL. So that alone makes Xavier Worthy somebody we really got to pay attention to in fantasy drafts. Dallas goes with Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. That was just boring pick for a team that continues to say they're going to go all in, and they still don't have a running back. Not that I would take a running back here, but Nate Wiggins to Baltimore, from cornerback from Clemson. The 49ers, this is interesting. They go Ricky Pearsall, who really shot up draft boards. Really good showing, ran well at the combine. Tall receiver from Florida. Is this a precursor to a Brandon Ayuk day 2 trade? Or even Deebo Samuel, because that report came down yesterday as well. I like Ricky Pearsall. But if everybody stays in place, it's not a great spot for him to have immediate fantasy impact, because you also have George Kittle there and you have Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. So Ricky Pearsall would be somebody who's just nothing but a very late round pick. And then Carolina, they come up against Xavier Legette, wide receiver, South Carolina. So they're doing things now. They're starting to put pieces around Bryce Young. They're giving him a better chance to succeed. They still have Adam Thielen. They give him Legette. So, they're starting to surround him with some useful pieces that hopefully will speed up his process. So we'll see. All right, guys. So day 2 of the draft. Still some good players. Ladd McConkey, I hope the Giants take him. I don't think they'll go wide receiver. But Ladd McConkey, to me, shocking he didn't go in round 1. I think he is a Wes Welker, Julian Edelman type player. I like him a lot. You talk about quarterback Spencer Rattler as a, possibly a 3rd round pick. I think there's a high upside there. Michael Pratt from Tulane. So there's still a lot of good players left, good offensive tackles, receivers. The kid from Oregon. So Franklin there from Troy Franklin from Oregon. Could have been a first round. I had a rough combine, but and some drops. But anyway, so tune in for that. I'll come back tomorrow with another discussion. No running backs taken yet, so we'll have to see what transpires there. Hit the subscribe button, guys. Make sure you get the draft guide. Working on the updated version of that, that'll reflect the draft. So make sure you pick up your copy, and more to come soon, guys. Stay tuned.